Hi, Sally Rees. It's lovely to spend a bit of time with you today. And thank you for joining me for this In Conversation With as part of what I do with Truth Told. And it's lovely that we can just spend a few moments together. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And thank you very much for the invite, really.
Oh, you're welcome. I put the Welsh sheep above my piano today just so that us Welsh girls need to stick together, you know.
We definitely do.
So is it
I've
true
got plenty of sheep here.
is it true that you live in the Welsh Hills, Sally?
I do. I live in above Crickhowell in the Black Mountains, but my view overlooks the Brecon Beacons. They're about 10 miles away, but we can see them.
Wow.
And yes, it's a lovely view.
Beautiful. So did you grow up in Wales? Are you Welsh? Are you Welsh through and through?
Well, I think so. Yes. I haven't done my my ancestry, but I grew up in Cardiff, and I've always lived in Wales. We haven't actually come very far. Some people move a long way, but we've moved all the way from Cardiff to Crickhowell, which is about 40 miles. Lovely. And I don't really see myself living anywhere other than Wales.
No, that's lovely. That's no bad thing. And tell us about your family, and tell us about who you do life with.
Oh, right. Well, I'm married to Gareth, and I've got 3 grown-up children and 7 grandchildren.
Wow.
I've got 3 here who are local, and I've got 2 in Sheffield and 2 in Cardiff.
Wonderful.
And we are a close family.
That's lovely. That's really great. Lovely to have family. And tell us about your faith, Sally. What does your faith mean to you, your Christian journey? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I certainly can. I grew up in a Christian family in Cardiff. So I had a wonderful Christian home. My father was a deacon in the Baptist church that we went to. My father died a long time ago, but my mother went to that church until she died. She was there for 63 years. So that's wonderful. I made my own commitment to Jesus when I was 11 at a Crusader camp as a response to somebody asking me, did I want to give my life to Jesus? And faith has been a constant part of my life. Like most people, I have been through many ups and downs. My life is just like everybody else's life. But I cannot imagine life without God's grace, God's healing, God's salvation, and Jesus' example of love and compassion and care for those around him. So faith has been a lifelong backdrop to my life. It has changed over the years. I started a faith journey that was very black and white. But as I have grown older and lived a bit more, I'm so much more aware that God brings people to himself in so many different ways. And he meets people where they are and brings him to himself and makes himself known through healing and salvation. And I've learned for many people it is a conversion experience, but for many people it is a long journey where God takes them to himself over a period of time. And I think the other thing I've learned more as I grow older in terms of my faith is that God uses broken people to bring his kingdom. So those are the things that have really changed about my faith. I think when I was younger, I thought we all had to be, perfect.
I hope we don't have to be perfect, because
I know.
Yeah, we're all broken vessels, aren't we? Yeah,
absolutely. Definitely.
So how do we know each other, Sally? How have we connected? And what's that story?
Well, I don't actually know how many years ago it is, but we've met through my sister Leslie. My sister Leslie moved to Cornwall about in 2007, I think. And she invited me to one of your Oasis conferences, which is a women's conference. I actually have attended two.
Oh, right.
I am not sure. The first one was in a very big hotel in St Ives. I don't know where we were, but it was posh.
I think that was Tregenna Castle. I think so. Yeah.
And I remember two things about that. One was that Kath Woolridge, who I knew vaguely, who's from Wales, the Sound of Wales, led the worship.
Yes.
And the other thing I remember was Rachel. I don't know her surname, but she preached on having Mary Hart in a Martha world, or
okay. Yes, yeah. So we've got a good connection, and then we reconnected, didn't we? At the start of COVID times, really, when you telephoned me in my office in work, in my chaplaincy office, about a special project that you've been working on, which we'll come to in a moment. But I want to ask you now about your role with the organisation called Anna Chaplaincy. So what is Anna Chaplaincy? What is your role and your title? Tell us a bit about that organisation and the wonderful work that they do.
Okay, so Anna Chaplaincy is a model for older people's ministry. I have had a heart for older people since my youth. And I told somebody when I was 15 that I got a place to go nursing, which I did as my career, and that I wanted to be near old people and people who were dying. So I'm amazed looking back how God brings things to fruition, you know.
Yeah.
However, so Anna Chaplaincy is a model of older people's ministry. It is part of the Bible Reading Fellowship ministries, and the Bible Reading Fellowship are committed to publishing books and training materials to support that ministry. It has really arose over the last 12 years out of two things. One, a response to the aging population that we all know about, and the other, research about, there's a lot of research now on aging and spirituality. And there's a lot of research that suggests that people who are in their older ages, they have more time to reflect, and they are more likely to be thinking about the big questions in life, about what's life all about, questions about dying, things about what happens after, and also things like who will remember me. So that they're thinking about the big questions, and so older people are amazingly receptive to spiritual and religious care. And I found that in my experience. In my experience, I found when I go to older people, there's three types, if you like. The first are the faithful, godly people, that many of that older generation are faithfully godly people who just bless you. And then there's a whole generation of people out there who went to Sunday school, and especially here in Wales, you know, they went to the Welsh chapels, and they know the Bible, they know hymns, they know prayers, and yet somewhere over their lives they've got disconnected. And there's a big ministry in reconnecting people with a faith that they knew about and have kind of gone away from, and who at this point in their lives just want to embrace God's love and healing and salvation. So and then there's a group of people who don't want to know. Well, that's, you know, however, we can still give them spiritual care by valuing them as people and doing lovely things together. So so as I say, Anna Chaplaincy started really with the aging population and the opportunities there are. And for me here in Crickhowell, we are an older population. People come to Crickhowell to retire in general. And in my pastoral work here, over the last 20 years, we've realized that actually they are the people who we are going to 90% of the time for pastoral care.
Yes.
So let's go back to the model of Anna Chaplaincy. So Anna Chaplaincy is a model for older people's ministry, but it's distinctive in that it's committed to going to people in the community. So the Anna Chaplaincy mostly functions outside of the church building, with the support of your church, who have to send you, but not, as I say, necessarily in church. And obviously, so we're sent to go to care homes, retirement housing, dementia-friendly cafes, knit and natter groups, anywhere where older people are gathering. And we go specifically to provide spiritual care. Now, there are a lot of people who provide social care and health care, and we have a part in that. But what we are that is different to other people is that people know that they can ask us questions about faith, about the big questions, about their troubles. Sometimes to hear a confession, they, you know, obviously we take time to get to know people as people and enjoy their company, but once they know that we love them and we have a relationship and that we can be trusted, it is an amazing thing what people will talk to you about, and it's an amazing privilege.
That's beautiful. So your role in Wales with Anna Chaplaincy, are you the Welsh director of it or coordinator of it? What's your role and your...
Okay, so I'm an Anna Chaplain here in Crickhowell. I'm Bishop's Officer in Swansea and Brecon Diocese for older people's ministry in general, which Anna Chaplaincy is part of. And I lead Wales. I'm an Anna Chaplaincy lead in Wales. So if anybody wants to know anything about Anna Chaplaincy, I'm the contact. Wonderful. And I'll do my best to give you all the information. I can do the training with you, all sorts of training, and then I will support you if you want to set up. There is a couple of other things about Anna Chaplaincy which are distinctive. I think people understand what a chaplain is. You know that, Sarah.
Yes.
You know that you're available, and that we're there for people of faith and no faith.
That's right. And
we're also there for people who surround them. So that could be family members, and we also will support carers. So as I say, it's outside the church, but it's to everyone really who is supporting people with older people's care. So
when you called me in my office just over a year ago, you called me with the lovely news that you had produced or been part of producing some lovely booklets that would be really useful for people during COVID times in particular, but not just COVID times. Can you tell us about those publications, please? And if you've got some at hand, wave them around. That would be lovely.
I have. Well, you know, COVID has been absolutely devastating in terms of ministry to older people. And we're keeping in touch in every way that we can. One of the ways is that we say to people, and the Anna Chaplaincy Network are promoting your prayers at sundown on your Truth Told site, because carers put people to bed, and that's just a wonderful way to finish the day. So it has been extremely difficult. It's been really felt like doing ministry with my hands tied behind my back, and it's forced me to throw myself on God in prayer a lot more.
Yes.
Because, you know, we're not there, but God is. But it occurred to me really fairly early on that the people who were with older people were the carers. There was also quite a lot in the news about carers being extremely anxious. And so at the Anna Chaplaincy working group, we decided to write a few booklets as soon as we could. So the first one that I wrote was this one, which is how to take care of yourself in stressful times. And that booklet was specifically for the carers. I wanted them to know that we were thinking of them, that we care about them. There's nothing in that booklet really that people don't know. There's very simple things about eating well, sleeping well, talking to people, but there's also messages in there about asking God in. Yes. So but as I say, that was specifically for the carers. But knowing that the carers were the people who were actually doing the ministry at this time, I wanted to write things that would just help them. So there's we wrote two more about how to worship with people. So this one I wrote, which is how to worship with individuals in your care. Lovely. And it just very briefly gives all sorts of different ideas, from wheeling somebody outside to look at the roses, to praying with people. There's some prayers in there, some Bible readings in there. There's for certain sort of people, perhaps just lighting a candle and being silent. There's a whole variety of ways that people can worship together. I just wanted to make it as accessible as I could for people to be able to pick it up and say, yes, I could do that.
That's beautiful.
So a colleague of mine, Katrina Foster, who is older people's pastor in Birmingham, wrote one very similar on how to worship with a group of residents. And again, very simple suggestions and lots of examples of how to put a short service together and worship with people. So there's suggestions for hymns and say readings, and there's 3 whole services in there that you can just lift if you want. Again, very accessible, and we've had good feedback that people can read them and have the confidence.
Yes.
Wonderful. Especially when they know that the person they're caring for is missing the worship and contact with their church and faith community. So
wonderful.
So the next one that was written was this one by Debbie Thrower. Debbie Thrower is the Anna Chaplaincy pioneer at the Bible Reading Fellowship. People probably will remember her. She was a newsreader, and she also did many songs of praise. But some 12 years ago, she was the first Anna Chaplain and has been pioneering Anna Chaplaincy. But this one is about how to help somebody who's dying at the end of life, and how to sit with them, the right things to say. There's again prayers, because it's been terrible. I would normally do that, but I've not been allowed in. And the carers really, some are really not equipped. And again, so there are very simple advice, examples of things that you can say to people. Wonderful. And then the last one, which I wrote, is this one. So it's how to have a memorial service at home when you can't attend a funeral. And that has been really needed by so many people, not just people in care homes. The Church of England have just done some research, I can't remember, but it's a vast number of people have not gone to a funeral of somebody that they loved and cared for. And again, there's some little suggestions about how to remember somebody, how to give them to God, practical, Christian-based advice that allows God in.
Wonderful. They are fantastic, and I know you sent me some samples, and I forwarded them on to a friend who's involved in older people's ministry, and she was really overwhelmed with how wonderful they are. So thank you for that. We will put links in with this little film about how people can find out more about Anna Chaplaincy with the website, and also how they can obtain copies of the booklets, because I think with those booklets as well, they're not just for this season. Some of those booklets will be helpful in the future as well. So thank you for that, and thank you for all that you've done in COVID times, and for all that you do for older people. You're a real inspiration and a blessing, and thank you. So one final question, Sally. Obviously we're slowly emerging from this COVID pandemic season that we've been in, which has been so unexpected and so different to anything we've ever known before. What are you looking forward to individually, personally, as we emerge from this crisis? What things are you hoping for and looking forward to in the future?
Well, I think the thing I have missed most, in terms of not being able to see people face to face, is touch.
Yes.
I can't wait to be able to comfort people by touching them. And hugs, of course.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing my family in Cardiff and Sheffield. I see my family in Ebervale quite a lot. And the other thing that I can't wait for is to worship with older people, either individually or as a group. I think we used to go into the care homes as a group of 6. I don't know, it's going to be a long time, but I think worshipping with older people is so special. There's a lot of inequality in society in all kinds of ways, but when we worship together, we are all equal. We are all on the same page. We are all God's children, and there's something really wonderful about worshipping as God's people, wherever we are, whoever we are, whatever our health is, whatever our state of mind is, and knowing that we're in God's presence together. So wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that.
We've got a lot to look forward to, and I want to thank you today for your time. Thank you for all that you've shared, and thank you for being you and all your involvement and making a difference for so many people's lives. Thank you for being in conversation with me, Sarah Chaplin. Reverend Sally Rees, thank you for your time, and God bless you.